the actual, I still ended up messing with the license plate on the Vet where it has that charging station behind it. Those hinges are 100% from scratch. I built those because nobody makes a sexy, very micro hinge that does a specific, so I had to do it myself. And I actually turned it into like a turnkey product. I could sell a bunch of those hinges if I really wanted to do that, but I don't.
Cool.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
So I've got some really cool hinge things.
So, Annette, I bet you didn't wake up this morning going, we're going to talk about gas filler doors and hinges today.
Hey, I knew that when we got on the call with
I wake up every morning ready to talk about them, Barry.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
One of the things that people will see too, what I heard was loyalty to your sponsors and values, right? And people will see that in you, and other sponsors will see that in you too, and go, I like how he thinks. I like what he's doing. I like how he supports his sponsors and things like that. So, and when the time's right, people will come your way, right? They'll reach out and say, hey, we like what you're doing,
Nothing does worse for a brand, and you see this all the time in the large followership folks, is when that deal expires when you switch to a different brand. I love this oil. They're not paying me anymore, so now I love this oil. It's like, well, you just lost 100% credibility that you're not just doing it for the money, and that means I don't trust that their product's truly premiums.
Right.
So I think you can't be greedy. You see this you see it all the time. I'd rather invest my time in loyal folks who are not going to jump ship for a couple extra bucks here and there, because that's going to expire. I mean,
right.
I like steady. I like my core partners. I like people I have a relationship with. I like people we don't have to have a contract that stipulates 3 posts and 2 stories by X date. I like them to let me do what I do, and do it organically, and it works out better for everybody. And then again, it's just, what kind of people do you want to work with? I want to work with people that support me. Brands want to work with people who stay true to that brand. So it's pretty simple. It's just like any relationship in life. It's real simple. So.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up with the brand loyalty, right? Like, we see this a lot in racing, because every racer that's out there is watching to see, like, what's the latest combination doing, who's going faster, who's setting records, right? So you've got people that are switching from no longer being, loyal to Pro Charger to going to a C rotor to, I'm going to go back to turbos or whatever. And you see this like consistent changeover. And so those manufacturers are like, I'm not going to do any kickdowns for you, because you're going to change your combination either this next race or this next season. And you may come back to me or you may not, and equally, we see the same thing with regards to motors. You've got those guys who are like diehard pro lines. You've got the guys who are diehard AJs. You've got guys who are just like, oh, I'm a Noonan person all the way. And sometimes they, stick true to those motors, but they don't necessarily stick true to what the power adder is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
in racing, it's a tough dynamic, because you have to, if you're not winning, then you lose a little bit of that pizzazz that's keeping the racing program going, that's keeping the people coming back and supporting. So, you got to be, I'm glad that I'm not necessarily doing partnerships in that segment. And I understand the need there to kind of, what's the latest, greatest tech. And I guess another important component I forgot that you just reminded me of is obviously that the stuff, the parts that you're promoting need to be up to your standards. So
Sure.
if you feel like they're no longer producing something that's relevant or competitive with what you want to be using, then that might be the time to exit. But at the same time, always give them the first right of refusal. I mean, that's your people. So haven't had to do it yet. I've got great core partners.
And you talk about partners and them working with you and not being, look, you have to do this many posts, this many reels, things like that. With our podcast with Redline, I asked them all sorts of questions. I said, just do your thing. They said, Mark said, do your thing. And AMD with Motorhead Digital,
you always get more out of
said
that.
the same thing, right? They just like, do your thing. We love you. Just go, so that's cool. It takes the pressure off too.
You can always tell when somebody is being forced to push this brand in this way. And the only thing that does is makes people repulse. Nothing makes people repulse quicker than that kind of a format.
Right.
I like to do it organically. There might be times where I don't even mention it. It's just in the background or it's just part of the thing. And that's all you need. It's like there's a certain amount of savvy there where you kind of know how to do this without pushing it. So you want to let people go look, see, grasp that that's what you're doing. And the stuff that you're actually doing is so interesting or cool that they're gonna latch on to that you use that in this process versus here's my unboxing of the product. I couldn't be less interested in watching you unbox a product. Right. I think that product boxing is the biggest waste of money in the world. Why do I want a sexy box? I want a sexy part. Like the box is going in the trash regardless. 100%. I will say that Sen does have some great wrapping, but that's it.
I couldn't agree more.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
So you mentioned Battle of the Builders and Young Guns, and we kind of went right by that. But that's a big deal, winning Young Guns, right? And I'm sure that affected your business.
It was a huge deal for me. It was personal gratification that I had done the right thing, spending the last 5 years of my life basically giving up 100% of my labor to build that car. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that you hear lots of people talk about as they're getting going, and it's 100,000% the truth. You're going to sell the farm on several cars before you actually going to make money on one. If you want to progress at a rapid rate, if you want to go to SEMA Battle of Builders and bring something worthy that might actually get attention, nobody's going to turn those keys over right away because you're talking in the $500,000 to $1 million to $3 million range in the hot rod category.
Right.
So if you want to build something of that caliber and you're starting out like I have been, you're going to give up a shitload of labor. That's 100% what it is. That's just the truth. Because you need a calling card. You need to, this industry is built 100% on trust, and to earn that trust, you need to demonstrate that you're capable.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to hand an untested hand, a blank check and say, build me a super badass car. And I trust what you're going to do is going to be good. It's not going to happen. So you got to show them that you're capable, that your work quality is at a standard that's high. And then that also you're going to be responsible and deliver. So I've never built even half tilt on a build, and people might think that's crazy, but that's equity. That's because I want to build the cars the way I want to build them in the future and get the paycheck for it. To do that, you really got to give up a lot of hours demonstrating what you can do. And I've been graced with great clients who let me do that. Obviously they get a lot of car per dollar. And they still, it's still not, we're not talking small money. It's still quite a lot, but I'm not taking home a lot of that. I'm leaving a lot of that in the car so that it can go to the big shows and garnish the attention. And then every time we level up a little bit. So, and I'm always looking to build every car better than the last one. And naturally that happens because you learn by the time you're done with a big multi-year huge build, you want to start over because you've learned so much since the get-go. It's like, well, this doesn't even represent me anymore because by building it, I've learned so much stuff. But to get back to the SEMA thing, yeah, that was pretty huge. It got, I've been on the cover of SEMA magazine with my face in my car. That was pretty cool. And it was even cooler because the first guy that told me about it was Craig Morrison before he passed. I woke up to a, hey, congrats text. And it's a picture of me, being excited when I won. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is for real. That was super cool. And then it was on, a couple more covers and you're just, I don't know. I'm a magazine guy. So nothing's cooler than your car on the cover of a magazine. Still to me, even 100%. When print's dying, awesome. I've been chasing hot rod for a decade here, and hopefully before things, totally go internet, I'll get a chance. So, knock on wood that this Corvette I'm building is worthy. We'll see. But it's been pretty wild to get all that attention and humbling. And I think that the best lesson I learned through all of it, and this goes back to being your genuine self, is I needed a little bit of humble pie after all that, because you get everybody and their dog giving you all this good stuff after you do something like that and win the Gran Turismo Award and Syracuse National Showstopper, multi-magazine covers, top young gun. It's like, you really think you're the shit. And then you got to take, for about a year, and then you got to take a step back and go, I'm really not. There is so much I need to learn. There is so many better individuals out there than me. And then you got to just broaden your world a little bit. And then you can really fall into your pocket of being, knowing that you have some talent, that everybody that's talented knows they have some talent. But at the same time, knowing that there is always so much to learn and there is always somebody better, and that you just need to be grateful for any opportunity that comes your way, instead of, walking around thinking you're the shit and, never accomplishing another thing. So I kind of, rode the wave for a couple of months and then went, I don't want to be that young gun who won Young Guns and then we never see him again. So I immediately poured all that passion into that 64 Corvette I was building to make sure it was at SEMA in 2019, and proving that I want some staying power. I'm here to stay. I want to be part of this industry. I don't want to be a young gun. I want to be a builder. So I worked hard to kind of push that off as quickly as possible and get into building real hot rods. And then I've just continued to progress. But after years and years of wanting that attention and then finally getting it, that'll go to your head real quick if you don't, check yourself a little bit.
I'm sure it can, right? I can't wait to see two things. The blue Corvette you've been working on, because I remember when you started on that, I think it's evolved to way bigger than you originally had thought. Seeing that car at SEMA and in Wheel Hub magazine. I love Wheel Hub magazine. It's like the premium magazine.
So, I just renewed my subscription.
Hey guys, Jason here with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a great magazine and can't wait to. I'm so looking forward to seeing the blue Corvette since I'm a Corvette guy, right? But just watching everything you're doing.
I happen to have a blue Corvette.
Yeah.
I hope that they take notice, because that's definitely one that you're always chasing something, and I've been tagging them for years. I always feel weird because I kind of know how these magazine deals go in the background. But I also kind of think it's only proper if they come to you.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to be like, pick me, or just play it cool and hold back and build a seriously badass car and hope that, it garnishes all the right attention. So I figure
build it, they will come kind of mentality.
If it has enough presence, they will come. So we'll just see. Obviously that's a dream. And obviously I would, I just don't even want to jinx it, Barry.
Okay. But I'll ask you this, and you don't have to answer.
It all falls back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little superstitions there, or what?
A little bit. Yeah. It's
how far out are you on that?
It all falls back to, it's almost wrapped up at interior. There's a little transmission snafu. I'm going to change out the transmission on it. We went too cutting edge and it bit us. I think it could have worked. We just didn't have we got tied up in this transmission control system for the DCTs that frankly it's garbage. And it was not sold to us as that. I have driven the car.
Oh, really? It's that far away?
I knew the transmission wasn't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been holding off on photos. I have photos of this car done. I have been holding back from all of you because some of these, I don't know where we're going to debut it yet, and some of them have stipulations on showing the finished car. So I didn't want to step on my foot just in case. I'm not like that. I don't think there should be. That's an antiquated kind of a thing in my eyes with the way social media is and the way that young businesses need to market themselves. You can't just hide that stuff forever until you go to the show. But I understand that's what they want, because I want to show people this car, because all together, oh my God, I did get out of control. It's everything I could hope for and more.
That's awesome.
It's in Pennsylvania. It's been at Buck's Customs for a while, having the interior done, and Chris and the team are absolutely killing it. I wish I could share more about what I'm seeing there. So it'll wrap up here sometime in March. Come home. Got to put a transmission. I went with the 8 HP and turbo Lamech control. I need to also to do this to get all the right CAN communication, change the engine ECU. So there's a little bit of that stuff, just because I knew that the second I drove with that DCT, that wasn't going to be what my client wanted.
Right.
And the big thing to remember in this sweat equity game of building cars better than you're paid to build them is that you can't lose sight of what your customer is going to use that car for. So you build the baddest ass car you can in a way that still respects what your client's there for. I'm not going to build a show car for a guy that wants to drive it, and I'm not going to build a driver car for a guy that wants a show car. You just got to kind of mix and match, and all I ever want to build is a race car anyways. So I always have to pull back my own reins and be like, no, only you want a sequential transmission for the street. They don't want that. Cause we're different breeds. I want to hear all the gear noise, but they might want a stereo.
Right.
So it's a fickle fine line. But yeah, that car, I'm hoping to have back to my client. He's SoCal based. So it'd be a nice home base for the car. And he's a really gracious guy, wants me to have my best foot forward.
Nice.
And obviously, the more eyes I can get on his investment, the better for him. If, it's an asset. So
100%.
It only gains value, but I'll tell you right now, those, almost $1 million Corvettes at Barrett don't even hold a candle to what that thing is, because it is absolutely phenomenal in function, form, and detail. It's a high level car, and I'm super excited to show the world. So it's got a lot of really cool inventions on it.
Now.
Yeah. So it's worth the hype. That's for sure. So.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
You talk about the detail and form and function. I want to know how many hours you have in just the gas door I watched you build that and everything. It's just like, oh my God.
I could tell you how many I build for, but it's not even close. Yeah, that would definitely be one of the 4 most expensive gas stores out there if it was something that I didn't just it's really been an awesome relationship with this client because he doesn't have anything where he's like, it has to be this. Whereas on the beige Corvette, there were a few taste choices that I didn't have control over. They ended up actually being some of my favorite parts of the car because it gives it its own personality instead of, trying to be like every other vet out there. But there were a few things that I was like, I might have done that a little different if I could have picked.
Right.
On this one, we've done everything I wanted. The only things that I didn't want to do are like stereo and things that just I personally feel don't belong in a mid-year Corvette that sounds that good. Because you got 2 pounds of space and we got 57 pounds of shit that you got to cram into this thing. And simple is always good for something that's going to have function. The simpler it can be, the better. And when down the road, when I hopefully do another something big, you learn a little bit every time. And I might speak up a little bit more on some things and be like, I know you want that. That's impossible.
Right.
It's on new cars because they have millions and millions and billions of dollars of R&D money to make it happen.
Right.
We have one car. I'm one guy. No, you've seen shops say that they're doing it. I'm telling you right now, it's not functioning. It's just not the way it is. So I might, the only thing I would do different is simplify a few aspects just because it would make it a more, just knowing what I know, just a better car. Yeah. As far as like, will this car be valid and functioning and operable in 20 years? That's what I think of is anything I'm going to do going to either go out of date quick or going to give us trouble down the road as far as, hey, my car won't start or this system's not working. Because I don't want any of that. I really take pride in when I'm done, the car is done and it's going to be as cool and as functional in 20 years. Yeah. So I work hard at that. But it's really cool that he's had these ideas. Like one of his ideas was, hey, this C2 Vet has such a sexy body line down the center and they throw this dick on a duck, Le Mans fuel cap. And I get the Le Mans allure or whatever, but we're not racing Le Mans and it just freaking ruins that body line. So we're like, where else can we put this thing? Right. Obviously your first thought is behind the license plate, but the way that I do the way the tank is on a C2 Vet, gravity doesn't work behind the license plate. So it's got to be somewhere on that top deck. Right. That's the only place you can have a fuel fill on that car where gravity will actually feed that tank. And so I was just thinking like, where do we hide? And then I was just looking and I was like, it's not the 90s. It's cooler to have some character and not smooth over every single emblem on a car. Yeah. We clean up everything, door handles, mirrors, emblems. Those aren't factory. Those are all from scratch, one-offs. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what if this emblem just had like a little perimeter? So it wouldn't, you're going to see the emblem first. So it's not going to catch your eye. But what if it had a body line around it? Mm-hmm. I could live with that. And he just said, yeah, run with it. Nice. And so then I proceeded to spend like a couple months figuring out how to get this hinge. It's all custom. It doesn't, it's nothing's off the shelf. It's 100% designed in CAD, 3D printed, prototyped until it worked exactly like I wanted. And then we made it out of billet. But the actions like a new car, it uses new car mechanisms, push down, pops up, does this. Yeah. There's safeties so it can't hit the, it's very, very thought out. There's drains. I mean,
wow.
It would have been like a $15,000 fuel fill. I mean, if I was billing per hour, like you got to be kidding me. Oh, man, but that, that's not even the most exotic. I have these weird things that I like to do. And I just really, for whatever reason, I'm always messing with fuel fills. So that's not even the most exotic one. the mechanical mechanism on that 55 Chevy I'm doing is by far the most intricate. The Corvette would be the second most expensive fuel fill I've ever seen, because the banana boat, that thing is mechanical art. Like the way that all works and does it the same every time and has nothing turns me off more than the electric actuators doing anything on a car. You see Bear Jackson and they're lifting the hood on something and it's like, in 5 minutes, the hood's going to be tilted. How cool. It's so stupid. Like, why? What the hell? That is the cheesiest thing I've ever seen. So I'm big on mechanical stuff. So I spend hours and hours looking at hinges. I could just look at hinges on cars all day. How this different gas door, how this hinge, is just a little different. So it just clears like this convex body line. And down in like the actual, I still ended up messing with the license plate on the Vet where it has that charging station behind it. Those hinges are 100% from scratch. I built those because nobody makes a sexy, very micro hinge that does a specific, so I had to do it myself. And I actually turned it into like a turnkey product. I could sell a bunch of those hinges if I really wanted to do that, but I don't. Cool. So
today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I've got some pretty cool hinge things.
So, Annette, I bet you didn't wake up this morning going, we're going to talk about gas filler doors and hinges today.
Hey, I knew that when we got on the call with
I wake up every morning ready to talk about them, Barry.
that we were going to learn all kinds of different cool stuff because neither of us are in the fabrication shop. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Kyle's and I get to watch some of the really cool stuff that he builds and does quite frequently. And it's definitely one of those things that every time I come across something on your feed, I'm like, oh, what is he doing today? That's
same,
so cool.
Same here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kyle,
you never know, too. It might be something totally unrelated.
Right? We've had an incredible time with you this morning, and we've learned so much about your passion and how you do it and what drives you. And I love that you're staying so authentic to who you are and the brand that you're building and really staying true to that creative essence of what your clients are coming to you for. So we kind of wrap up our podcast with some very unusual questions. We call this the speed round. And so the first thing that comes to your mind is what I want your response to be. So don't think too much on it. And the last question stumps everybody. So don't feel like you're left alone. So the first question is, what is your favorite driver, team, hot rod, or muscle car?
Hot rod, Roadster. I was the most inspired, I think, by when the Roadster shop built that Rampage Camaro. First off, I'm a second gen F body Camaro guy. That's my dad had one growing up. We have one we were working on when they came out with that I actually had to shelf because I'm just like, they dropped the mic with that thing. I couldn't even come close. It was just so perfect for everything I love. Race cars, second gen F body, seriously badass. And I was just so inspired by that particular car. Nice. There's a million that I've looked at, especially as like being a judge of Battle of the Builders, where I really get to get up close on some of the best stuff ever, when I was doing that. I've seen some really cool stuff, but that just like speed round Rampage Camaro.
So Kyle, I want to add
just
this
checked
to
all
that.
my boxes.
That's cool. It's interesting you say that because when I grew up, my first car was a 63 Rambler Ambassador station wagon, but my dad had a Javelin. And so the Prestone Javelin that Ring Brothers made is for my car. That's the car.
That was pretty cool.
That's an amazing car.
Yeah. Obviously,
right.
anything Mike and Jim's shop has touched is pretty top shelf stuff. It's
For
good
real.
stuff.
For real. All right. So second question is, what is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Nowadays, it's SolidWorks. The pen's mightier than the sword, I think. I can do stuff with CAD and Send that I couldn't dream. I could spend a whole week. I design stuff every single day. I design a product. Seriously, every single day I design a product. I only release a few of them, but I mean, it goes into the catalog. It's
that's so cool.
Years ago, I thought, I grew up computer illiterate. We didn't have a lot of computer stuff. I started out in mechanical engineering in school and immediately went, I don't want to sit behind a computer my whole life. And now that it's come full circle, 15 years later, I really wish I learned CAD back then. So it's just, you can design it enables you to do a much better design job. Being able to check tolerances and see things, or all these cool hinges that are coming together as a result of SolidWorks and 3D print prototypes.
Right. And being able to see it multidimensionally, right? Like instead of it just being like, I drew something on a piece of paper.
I know it's going to work how I want before I even. It's wild.
100%. I think that's really cool. And I've definitely seen some really amazing things come out of it. So I can see how that would be one of your favorites for sure. All right. So next question is, do you have a favorite racetrack, event, or car show?
I mean, SEMA. I love SEMA. It was the first big one. It's still the big one. I love going there. I love interacting with all my buddies that I only see at SEMA usually. It's where all the top minds in the craft kind of converge, and you get to see their best foot forward every year. It sure is a lot of fun. So I hate that it's in Vegas. It's the only place big enough to house it, but I'm not into the Vegas stuff. I go for SEMA. Like I show up to the show 2 hours early every day. I try to leave 2 hours late. It's just awesome.
That's awesome. So like leading off of your like going to SEMA, right? Barry and I have both been to SEMA multiple times. Have you ever been, or do you have any interest in going to PRI?
I have a ton of interest because it seems like every year I see PRI and I'm like, it's like they took the best part of SEMA and condensed it into a space you could probably travel in a day. And it's just, the race car stuff is always 2 days.
PRI
okay.
It's equally as big as SEMA is, without like the huge car show element of it, but it is 100% performance based, right? So you come across all of the biggest manufacturers and teams and whatever that are, all there from the racing industry. So yeah, I mean, pound for pound, each show in themselves are very spectacular.
Yeah. Someday I'll hit PRI for sure.
I highly encourage it. All right. And so then our last question, again, this is the one that stumps everybody, is what is the best advice you've ever received and from whom?
Oh, that does stump you, doesn't it? I can't recall the exact piece of advice, but I'm sure it came from my dad. Just work hard for the stuff you want. It's pretty simple. I don't have a direct quote. You stumped me. Work hard. That,
okay. Like not everybody has
that's the Chris
like
Kuhnhausen motto. That'll solve all your problems every time. Just work hard. So
there you go. That's not a bad place to be. Trust me.
No.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for participating in our speed round. Like I said, that last question stumps everybody, so you are not alone.
I'm sure. I should have prepared better.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So we don't give these questions out in advance on purpose.
That's right.
So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Kyle, for joining us today. Kyle, how can people find you online, reach out, ask you questions, learn more about your amazing builds and things you're doing?
Social media is big, so I try to keep the same handle on all the platforms. It's KC Kuhnhausen, KUHNHAUSEN. Hopefully you just get to the KUH and you're good.
Right.
And, I got that's my personal cell phone on there on the Instagram page. You can call me anytime.
Oh, careful now.
Yeah, I might I might not answer, but I'll call you back. But,
a very brave man.
I like to be pretty reachable. I hear all the time from people like, I can't believe you took my call. And I'm like, why not? I'm running a business.
Right.
I need your calls.
Right.
I need people I need clients. So, always looking for good folks that want to, share the mind space and create something cool. So,
cool.
Check me out there. I just went through my website, kmcspeedshop.com.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of cool laser cut parts and tools and updated build galleries. And I also threw all the podcasts there on the info section.
I saw that.
People
Nice.
can just, you can find a lot of them. So
that's very cool. That's awesome. Well, we super appreciate you joining the show, and I'm very excited for our guests to be able to hear how you impact the industry and how you do all the great things that you do. So from us here at Gearheads and Gasoline, thank you so much for joining while we're fueling your success. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.